It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with certified financial planners Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being here, friends. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners on the program. And with me in the KFG studios, my business partners and fellow CFPs, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory.
So the Secure Act 2.0 was passed December 23 of 2022, and it introduced nearly 100 new tax law changes. Now, those are going to take effect in the near future, with some of the biggest starting in 2024, and we're sharing what they are and how they impact your financial plan on today's show.
We're geeking out. Geeking out for sure, because this is Secure Act 2.0. It's 1.0 was confusing. 2.0 is twice as confusing. Boom. And the bad jokes are starting right now. We'd love to hear from you. If you have questions or needs, we can help in any way. You can call or text us 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Online, wisemoneyshow.com. You can reach out to us that way as well. Learn more about the show, the firm, and then all over social media, wherever you're at, we are there as well. Search the Wise Money Show. So, Kevin, you mentioned it's passed on December 23rd. I wasn't even aware of it. I think it was late in the day because I woke up Christmas Eve. Cindy's trying to do like family breakfast, and I get a notice, and I'm off work, and I get the notice that they passed this thing, and I was shocked. And I start looking. Okay, is the raw thing in there? Yeah. And Cindy's like, Mike, put it down. And I just had to listen to the boss and catch up on all the details, But yeah, Secure Act 1.0 was passed late 2019, took effect in 2020, and it had, maybe 8 doozies, 8 big tax law changes. Secure Act 2.0 has 100. And so it makes things wildly more complicated. Most of these complications involve added flexibility, but if a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a noise? So if you have more flexibility and options with your financial plan, but you don't understand them, then are they really new options for you? Well, we're going to help you with that today.
I think it's a sign that we're getting old, though, because when they start messing with the rule book this often and this extremely, man, doesn't it just have your financial brain, your head spinning a little bit? Staying on top of this and helping clients to actually apply it, it's a real job now.
When the Secure Act 1.0 came out, and again, that was like 8 tax law changes, we sat in a conference room with all of our advisors, and we went through sort of rule by rule. And at the end, everyone was sort of overwhelmed. And I said, okay, guys, our job as financial planners just got that much more important.
Yeah.
Because the investment-only professional, this person that's just out there trying to help you with your 401k, they're going to be obsolete because they're not going to keep up on these rules, and this is where there's a lot of value add to your financial life. So,
yeah, it's very interesting because as I look at this, and the first one we're going to get into is this whole 529 to Roth, and it is the complication makes it so that you have to be playing the long game. Mm-hmm. You have to have a context, and if you're only making decisions in a vacuum, and I talked to some folks that were interested in working with us, and they've worked with a local investment seller for many years and have a great relationship. Well, guys and gals that sell that sell investments, they're probably pretty decent at relationships. So of course they had a good relationship. But the problem was they funded their kids' college without using the 529 plan. So they gave up $15,000. And
they're in Indiana.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And it's unnecessary. So and what would likely have been the situation is they still would have had some extra dough lying around.
Yeah.
And that money could have been used for what we're going to be talking about right now.
So let's get into it. This is the biggie. Of the 100, if you were to ask me, what's the biggest tax law change? It's this one. And that is that the 529 plan starting next year. So again, we're going to break down these rule changes, but the ones that take effect in 2024. Starting next year, you're going to be allowed to transfer dollars from your 529 plan, from a 529 plan, into the Roth IRA of that student, of that beneficiary, of that child. It's supposed to take effect next year. Lots of limitations. There's still some details being worked out.
Yeah, there are. And, the why behind this portion of the tax law change, though, I think it goes a long way to addressing some of parents' concern that they may get money, extra dollars stuck in a 529 plan at the end of the college years. Now you have another option of what to do with that money that's still proactive, helping your kids. If you just help them get established in their career by educating them well and helping them get through the college years, and now you have an opportunity to also help them get established in their investment game plan, get them saving long term with any extra dollars that are left over in the 529 plan by shifting it into one of our favorite long-term savings vehicles, the Roth IRA, where it can grow tax-free for you.
All right, so here are the limitations, and let's see if I can share all of them. So a 529 plan has an owner, a successor owner, and a beneficiary. So there's three parties that are listed. There's one owner, successor owner, and that's the person that takes over if the owner passes away. And then the beneficiary isn't the person who receives the money when the owner dies. The beneficiary is the student. It's the child. It's the individual that would be using the dollars for college. Okay, so here's the deal. This transfer from 529 to Roth IRA is only allowed if that 529 has been opened and around for 15 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. What we still don't know is if you change your beneficiary, which you're allowed to do, it's fairly easy to do. If you change your beneficiary, does that restart a new 15-year clock? Right. So Josh and I were listening to an expert talk on this, and he said he didn't think that's the intention. So he doesn't think that's how they're going to rule, but we're still waiting for the IRS to tell us that. So that's the first rule. Your 529 needs to be around for 15 years. That's one. Two, the transfer, there's an annual limit, a lifetime limit of $35,000. That's the maximum you're allowed to transfer from a 529 to a Roth IRA. That is not indexed for inflation. It says it's hard-coded into the code, into the law, $35,000. So that maybe out in there in the future they might increase that. Not right now. That's the second limitation. Third is those transfers are up to the contribution limit for the year. So you can't transfer all $35,000 at once. You can't transfer $10,000 at once. The contribution limit to the Roth IRA this year is $6,500, but you have to have earned income, so that child would need to have enough earned income. How that contribution limit works right now is it's 100% of your earned income, payroll, up to $6,500, whichever is less.
So in other words, that student or recent graduate has to have earned at least $6,500 in paycheck money during that year in order to do the maximum contribution to the Roth IRA.
That's right.
Whether that's out of their paycheck, out of savings, or in this case, transferring it from the 529 plan.
Can I sneak one more in before?
Just sneak away.
Okay, so the last real big rule, because there's lots of implications and there's layers here, is the any contributions you make to the 529 plan within 5 years, those contributions are not eligible to be transferred to the Roth. Both the contribution and the growth on those contributions are not eligible to be transferred to the Roth within 5 years. And they put that rule in place because if you're not eligible, because this is why I want to interrupt you, Kevin, if you're not eligible to fund a Roth IRA because you make too much money, then one possible way around it is, well, I'll contribute to a 529 plan and then I'll transfer it to my Roth. Because this transfer to the Roth is allowed as long as you have enough earned income, but there's no max income limit on it. Mm-hmm. Where there is for the Roth IRA
kind of a loophole,
contribution.
isn't it?
It's a loophole, absolutely. So that's why they put that 5-year restriction on there.
Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to just clarify is the $35,000 is per individual.
Yeah.
So when you say it's as I listen to this, it's all confusing. And if you say there's a $35,000 lifetime limit on how much you can transfer from a 529 to a Roth, it's per individual. So you could have 3 children, so you could do 35 to each child, and you could have 3 grandchildren and do 35 to each of them. And you might say, well, there's no way I've got all of these 529s open or funded to that level, well, it's time to get started.
Yeah, that's right. So what are the big planning implications around these rules? And then, guys, I mean, we could do a full show just on this change. We probably will because there's so much to it. To me, this is the biggie and lots of planning implications. But further, we're going to get to, well, what other big tax law changes were baked in to the Secure Act 2.0 that take effect in 2024, and how do those shape your financial plans? We've got that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. What you're watching right now is our weekly 1-hour talk show that airs right here on this channel, 10 a.m. Eastern Time every Saturday morning, also on podcast as well, but also live on a couple of local radio stations, which is why the content is broken up the way that it is. But lots of other content we deliver right here on this YouTube channel all throughout the work week. Next Wise Step videos, taking one financial concept, applying it directly to your financial life, helping you get more wise about your money and think comprehensive about your financial situation. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. If you like the content, and leave comments below. Appreciate it. I haven't said the disclaimer yet. I am sick, just like everyone else is.
Really?
Yeah, so
Okay. Well,
not a lot of fun.
yeah.
But so far, so good, actually. It sounds, I think, better
I'm
than
sick
normal.
and tired. Hey, I think,
Did you say tired?
yeah, sick and tired.
It sounded more like turd.
Whoa.
I'm sick and turd.
You had to,
Sick and
bleep.
turd.
Sick and turd. Sick and turd. Okay, so I think it's interesting because, Josh, when you say paycheck money, it's so funny. Have you guys ever noticed I'm picky about stuff?
No.
Yeah. Well, last night
Be careful, because if you criticize that phrase, it's probably going to come out more.
I was talking with a
Feeling planful right now.
ow, that hurt. But I was talking to someone, a youngster, about their paycheck money, and there's a difference between the $1,400 that they'd earned and the $1,100 that they actually got to spend. And they were talking about this difference and how much they were paying in taxes. And so there is a difference because
Take home pay versus
because
gross pay.
if it's close, and it's very possible you have a college student that works in the summer, and their net, if they're calculating on their net check, their actual check might be
Right.
even bigger.
It's gross.
Right.
It's the bigger number.
That's right.
It is gross.
Should we do that calculation, even though very loosey-goosey?
Which
Jeff,
calculation?
how much would you need to put into a 529 plan at the child's birth to equal $35,000 at the time of approximate graduation?
No.
And what would that $35,000 grow to by the time that child is 65?
Well, you could. Do you want to do that?
And then
Yeah,
you'll have people reaching out saying, I want that investment
want
that will
that.
guarantee me
I
that
love
rate
do-
of return that
I
Mike
love doing-
promised.
I love doing math on the radio. No, I think are we going to give the pro tips and say, hey, this is what you need to do?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right. And then get into the change that was supposed to take effect in 24 that got delayed till 26. We'll explain that one. And then the RMD change, which was technically last year, but really starts in 2024. So all that and more on this upcoming segment. There you go. All right. 529 plan to Roth, that rule, this new law takes effect next year. Is that something that you're taking advantage of? How does it influence your financial plan, your decisions right now? We're helping with that and more. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on podcast wherever you listen. Go search the Wise Money Show, subscribe to it, or follow us there. Rate the program there at your favorite podcasting site. We appreciate it. Talking about the Secure Act 2.0 changes that are about to take effect starting in 2024. Are you prepared? How does it influence your financial plan? Guys, the biggie of all 100 tax law changes is this 529 to Roth IRA. Now, I made changes to my own personal financial life. I've got 3 kiddos. and the oldest just turned 13. Thank you for your prayers. And for us, just for ease of management and contributions and whatnot, even though we've had 3 kids, we've only had one 529 plan, and we just dump all the college money in there, and we'll just, sort it out in the end. We'll do like rock, paper, scissors and see who gets the most. And
so they're competing right now.
Yeah, that's right. They don't know, but yes, but
We'll wrestle for it.
With Deion Sanders, he ranks his kids. I think someone told me that. So I'm just taking after Prime. So anyway, just kidding. So anyway, the thought was, okay, that's easier to manage and blah blah blah. Well, I don't know. We don't know if they're going to require that a change in beneficiary resets this 15-year clock. So I don't want to wait to find out because they could rule either way. So I created 529 plans for each of the other 2, just to get that started, start that 15-year clock, just in case.
Yeah, so when you think about the 529 plan, and it's a little bit confusing to create some sort of a decision tree on the radio, but you say, why would I have a 529 plan? And the nice thing about a 529 plan is you've got tax deferred growth for typically the purpose is education. But there are some other features about the 529 plan that are really beneficial. So you control the money, but it's outside of your estate. Well, that can be meaningful. How meaningful? Well, let's talk at the end of 2025, and I'll tell you what the federal estate tax exemption is and how meaningful it actually is.
Right.
And so the issue with all of these is you really have to be in my opinion, you have to be playing the long game. You have to be maxing things out regardless of what the rules are, because the rules have changed completely. And so it used to be, well, I can only use this 529 plan for college. Well, no, now I can use it for K through 12. And they're all different. Now I can take it and put it into a Roth IRA. So the rules continue to change and things continue to shift. So if you this is what I would think about doing. Plan on funding a 529 plan, and you say, well, how much should I fund it for? At the minimum, I would fund it up to the level that you get a benefit from your whatever state you're paying taxes in.
Yep.
So I live in Michigan and pay taxes in Indiana. I'm funding a 529 plan up to $7,500. That's what, and Indiana has a fabulous benefit for that. If you live in Michigan, you probably want to put $10,000 in.
Speaking of, we have to also assume, this separation of Fed laws and state laws. We have to assume that your state may not treat a transfer out of your 529 plan to your Roth as an eligible withdrawal, and they might claw back some of those state benefits. We don't know that yet either. So just be aware of that. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, by definition, all the strategies that we're talking about right now are when you have extra resources or available resources and you want to help somebody else with their education or getting started with their retirement contributions. I hope it goes without saying, but you would want to make that type of a decision on what level of funding you're going to help your kids with along the way based on your financial plan. There have been plenty of examples that we've seen over the years where, sometimes parents don't even realize that they're doing it, but they're actually giving away some of their own retirement security by overfunding their kids' education beyond what they can actually afford. Because the cash is there, we can do it. There's incentives to do it, tax benefits if you make these contributions. But if you go too far beyond what your own financial capabilities are, you may not actually know that you're doing that until way down the road when you get to retirement and you realize, boy, my retirement nest egg isn't as large as I needed it to be for the lifestyle I needed. And that's exactly why, we often talk about financial planning as this is playing chess, not checkers, right? You're planning several moves down the game here, not just what's in front of you, just what the opportunities are presenting themselves today. You need to be thinking long term, and that's what a certified financial planner does for you. It's weighing options. If you've got resources and you want to do something really proactive, really great with it, contributing it to a 529 plan may have just gotten a little bit better or a little bit safer because it's less risky that money's going to get stuck there. But you still have to balance that with, I have other goals that I'm trying to achieve as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say money stuck in a 529 plan, though, really is urban legend. Like, it's never going to be stuck there because it's easily repurposed. And you say, well, if I repurpose it, I might have to pay back the credit that I received in Indiana. Yep, you got money, you're giving it back to the state. Oh, by the way, you had the use of it for how many years? So it's not the end of the world. My thinking would be, I'm setting up a 529 for the purpose of educating my kids or grandkids. Certainly, I should not jeopardize my retirement security in doing so, but it just became more flexible, and I would spend my 529 plan as low as it can go for the purpose of education, because we're all excited about this, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I can use 529 plan to fund a Roth? Yeah, but guess what? I bet there's a bunch of money that you have control over that's not in a 529 plan that you can still use to fund a Roth.
Yeah, right.
So this is where we kind of fixate on this option that we can do, and I'm like, well, no. Our options are much grander, much more broad than just this. This is a cool option if I've got extra money, but this is where I'm thinking in terms of I've got I've got more money than I need. I'm funding whatever I can get that would be tax favored, and then I'm doing something strategic with these dollars.
Yeah. Do you guys think of this as just kind of another alternative to the backdoor Roth IRA contribution?
Absolutely.
Especially for, I'm thinking about certain clients where they have significant income, so they're phased out of being able to just contribute straight into a Roth IRA. They could do a backdoor Roth contribution, which we've talked about many times on the show here, but you have to have kind of certain circumstances in place in order to really even pull that one off as well. And if you have already a bunch of money in an IRA, doing a Roth conversion or a backdoor Roth contribution is tricky, or may just not even be ideal at all in some circumstances. And these same clients who can't contribute directly, probably shouldn't do a backdoor Roth IRA, would be a wonderful candidate for if there are extra dollars in their kids' 529 plans, and it sure looks like there could be in many cases. This is a way for them to repurpose that money, get it into a Roth, and let it grow tax-free forever.
Or open a 529 plan for yourself. Mm-hmm. You're 40 years old, you're over the limit, or you think you might be over the limit to make Roth contributions out there in the future. Open a 529 plan, throw $100 in it right now, start that 15-year clock for yourself, and start funding it at some point, and then know that you can transition those dollars to the Roth IRA. Now, we're going to need to move on, but Kevin, you mentioned the long game. I'm just going to throw this math out there. I didn't do the math. We didn't do the math. But whether you want to fact check this or not, there is an answer in here. How much would you need to put into a 529 plan to have it grow to approximately $35,000? That's that lifetime limit by the time the child's 16 years old and starts a part-time job. Answer's about $11,000. You put $11,000 in the year that child's born, should grow to about $35,000 when they're 16. They start working. You transition a little bit, the $6,500 a year of that over to the Roth. Then what's that Roth IRA? What are those dollars, that original $11,000? What's that worth by the time that child turns 65? All this money has been tax sheltered, about $1 million. So there is a huge opportunity here, playing the long game and planning ahead. So, all right, we fixated on that one big rule. It is the biggie. What other big tax law changes are taking effect in 2024 from the Secure Act 2.0? We've got that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. So
what rate of return was assumed?
17% a year. No, I think it was 7 or 8%. Yeah. Let me see 7%. So 11,000 at birth, 7% rate of return, 65,000 at age 16, assuming that child starts working enough to transition over the next, what would that be, 6 years, 7 years, that 35,000 into a Roth IRA. That Roth, just those contributions, grows to about $1 million by the time they're 65 out there in retirement.
And there is, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no mechanism for that $35,000 lifetime limit to be indexed or grow, right?
Not
it's
currently.
built into the law as just a
hard-coded.
flat number.
Okay, so here's a quick question. So if I'm gifting the max that I can gift to my child, and so this year it's 17, next year it's 18. So next year my wife and I can do 18, so that's 36. And then I take 529 plan money, because 2024 is the first year I can do it, and put $6,500 into the Roth for my child. Does that?
I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else.
Does that?
Yeah.
Did I just create a need to file a gift tax return?
I don't think so, because it's them doing the transfer. Like I think they need to be the owner, don't they?
The owner of the Roth, yeah.
Or owner of the 529 plan too
No,
at that time?
no.
No?
Do you see what I'm saying?
As long as they're the beneficiary.
but-
So you really are the one doing the transfer.
You see what I'm
But
saying, though?
the money that's in a 529 plan is considered an already completed gift. So you did that in the past by making the contribution. So essentially it's already the kid's money, and you're just transferring it from one account to another. So that shouldn't count as
So if
an
I change-
additional gift
Okay, so if I change the beneficiary, is that a gift now?
to the
Yeah.
the other child or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't think so.
See, this is the thing.
because
None of this stuff makes any sense.
Yeah. It doesn't
From
make
like
any
an
sense.
estate planning standpoint, that money's already out of your estate. It's out of your control, even though you still have your hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
That's what makes the 529 plan just unique in that regard.
Okay.
But
All right,
yeah, so you
Oh boy,
fun. Okay, third segment.
it's crazy. It's some crazy stuff,
yeah.
man. Okay, third segment. What are we gonna hit this one?
We're going to do high wage earners. That law has been pushed out to 2026, but it was supposed to take effect in 24, so we're at least going to explain it. And then we're going to hit RMD. Oh, we might be able to get to more than just those, but we're going to plan on hitting those. All right. What Secure Act 2.0 laws are set to take effect in 2024? What are those biggies? How do they influence your plan? We're hitting that more. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Stay up to date on all Wise Money content. Find us online, wisemoneyshow.com, and then all over social media. Wherever you're at, we are there as well. Search the Wise Money Show. We're hitting the big changes within the Secure Act 2.0 that take effect in 2024. Now, in my opinion, while it made things, Secure Act 2.0 made things wildly complicated, for the most part, I'm a fan because it gives you more choice, gives you more flexibility, more options, and then through the proactive planning process, you figure out, well, which of these options, which of this new flexibility should you implement, and which one shouldn't you? There was one thing, and I don't want to say just the one, but I think it's mostly just the one, where it didn't create more flexibility, it created more rigidity. It's inflexible. And it was supposed to start in 2024. But thanks to some lobbying and everyone complaining and everything, just about a month ago, they said, we're actually going to postpone this release until 2026. We're still talking about it right now because you might have had this on your radar thinking, I've got to make this change starting in 2024. It's actually delayed until 2026. And that is required Roth contributions or Roth catch-up contributions for high wage earners. Guys, explain the rule.
Well, I think you have to begin with understanding or being reminded of how the rule exists as we know it today. Here in 2023, when you reach age 50 and you are contributing to a retirement plan at work, you're allowed to now ramp up your contributions and do a catch-up contribution. You're allowed to contribute more than you could a year ago. And instead of contributing $22,500, you can do an extra $7,500, which gets you up to a $30,000 maximum. So that catch-up contribution of an additional $7,500, it begins at age 50. Well, the new rule, Secure Act 2.0, said, well, listen, if you are a high wage earner, if you have a big paycheck from a single employer, and they define big paycheck as $145,000 per year or more, then that extra contribution we were just talking about, the catch-up, has to be a Roth contribution. And that's brand new. This is kind of a big deal because by definition, someone who is in a higher tax bracket or a high income situation, the additional contributions that you were allowed to make, that was a valuable tax write-off for you. That extra $7,500 reduces the amount of income you're going to pay tax on in our current world, but not in the new world. Now, that $7,500 has to get taxed and then be contributed after taxes are paid to the Roth portion of your retirement plan.
So lots of questions about this, and one of them is, well, is that $145,000 this year? And no, it's $145,000 or more that you earned in paycheck money last year. Well, is that gross income, total income, all your income? Nope. It's just from that employer. So if you have two jobs and you make less than $145,000 at each of them, but when you combine it, it's over $145,000. Does that mean I'm required with this new rule? No, it's from that employer where you are contributing to the 401k. It's from that employer. Did you make $145,000 or more last year?
Can you imagine if they hadn't made the rule that way? If it was just when your income goes over $145,000, you're no longer eligible. You have to do these catch-up contributions as Roth. You would have to be coordinating between multiple employers potentially. You'd have to basically keep track of how much you earn on each of these paychecks and when have I crossed the line, and it would make a mess. So thankfully, they had the foresight to say, no, this is looked at employer by employer. And when you cross the line of $145,000 for the prior year's income, that's when this rule kicks in for you.
When you put it that way, Josh, I am thankful. That's amazing. What a great... I'm going to write my senator and congressman today.
So, all right. So this law was supposed to take effect starting 2024. So you should have been aware of what your income was and thinking through right now as you're doing your tax planning, okay, will I have to, have more income showing on my tax return because I didn't get the deduction. However, imagine the logistical nightmare of tracking this and enforcing it, and even though someone has elected on within their retirement software or payroll software, I want my contributions to go pre-tax. Imagine requiring that even though they made that election, you have to flip it over to the Roth. There's other rules in there about, well, what if you don't have a Roth feature? 90% of 401ks have Roth features. What about the 10% that don't? You're actually, based on how this rule was written, no one's allowed to do any catch-up contributions. And so this has been a logistical nightmare. And so they've been up in arms saying there's no way you can expect us to enforce this with just 365 days to plan. And to make matters worse, when they went from the approved bill to what the president signed, they, deleted a paragraph. They deleted a paragraph explaining how this rule was supposed to take effect. And somehow they passed something that says, oh, we are adding this back in even though it wasn't part of the actual law that was signed. Unbelievable. You can't make it up. Maybe there's going to be a Netflix movie about it, documentary. I don't know, but I'm joking. But it's unreal. So you've got a couple more years to plan for this. Even though you have that, I wouldn't expect this as the student loan administrative forbearance where they're going to keep kicking this can down the road. No, at some point, if you make over $145,000, you've got a plan that your catch-up contributions are going to be Roth. How does that influence your financial plan? Does this mean you shouldn't do catch-up contributions? I would argue no. But does it mean you should be proactive with potential tax implications? Yes, you should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this demonstrates the need to have an operating system and to understand, because you say, well, does this stuff affect me? And if so, how does it? And when will it? And all these things. It's interesting. I was meeting this week with a couple of estate planning attorneys, and these guys were very, I'm going to say they're both older than me. So they've had long careers. And they were talking about a house that was highly appreciated. And they said, well, when you sell your house, you can just roll the gains from your house into the new house. And that is, well, don't look at me like that. That's how it worked back
like
in
20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Yeah, so 30 years
in
ago.
the 1900s.
So when those guys started their law careers, that's how the rules worked. And so if you're saying, hey, I'm good with it. Like the rules, I know the rules. I know how to figure out my financial life and my financial plan. You might, but we're not even, we're talking about how to implement and when does this happen from the stuff that happened in December of 22.
Yeah.
Where really the stuff that happened in December of 19 still is, we're still kind of waiting for some of that to take effect.
Mm-hmm. And don't also forget that these catch-up contributions in the year you turn age 60, 61, 62, 63, those are about to be expanded as well. That doesn't take effect in 2024. It takes effect in 2025. But, yeah, the rules are all different. Now, another change from the Secure Act 2.0 that takes effect next year actually took effect this year, but it really didn't impact anyone. And that is moving the required minimum distribution age that was 70 and a half, got moved to 72, moving it to 73. Here's why I'm saying, this is a little bit of a stretch, why I'm saying it impacts people starting in 2024, is because when they moved it from 72 to 73 in 2023, you already started your RMD the previous year. So no new individuals, unless it was from an inherited account, no new individuals needed to start RMD in 2023. And in 2024, if you're turning 73 that year, you're going to have to start your required minimum distribution. Right now, the fall of the year before, now is the time to start planning for that. Does that mean you should do a Roth conversion this year so that you reduce what that RMD is going to be next year? Does that mean you should capture some losses or capture some gains or do some other creative tax planning, possibly knowing that that rule is going to take effect next year? Now, forecasting out or looking out 9 years from now, that we're going to have that same thing where the age changes, and so for a year, no new people will need to take their RMD because it'll be transitioning to 75, age 75 out there in 2033, I believe is when it is. Mm-hmm. So, all right, more tax law changes, that and more coming up on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
How many times do you think the rule will change between here and 2033?
I don't know. Oh, my goodness.
That seems like that's a really long way out, but we're going to blink and it's here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
IRA catch-up contributions being indexed for inflation. That'll be a quick one to hit. No RMD on Roth 401ks. That'll be a quick one to hit. And then I think we need to mention the employer match.
Are we going in the four segment?
Four segment.
Because the other thing that I would be also tempted to mention is just the ABLE account. And
Okay.
and hey, in 2024, if you're in Indiana, you probably need to put, if you have it, you probably need to put $2,500 into an ABLE account because of the $500 credit you get for that.
Okay.
And they changed the ABLE accounts. They expanded it to individuals disabled at older ages. So,
And that was all part of Secure Act 2.0 too? That's
dude,
crazy.
I know. I read
far-reaching.
I read 23 pages last night, and I thought, what am I doing? I'm serious. I'm like, I wonder if the leaf collectors are looking for people to help pick up leaves or something. I mean, this is so absurd.
Well, let's then hit them rapid fire. So we'll sneak what we can in. So, all right. Four segment, land the plane. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. My name is Mike Bernard. With me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Every episode of the Wise Money Show, as well as a lot of other content that we post all throughout the work week, is right there on the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, search the Wise Money Show, subscribe to it, turn on notifications so you're made aware every time we drop new content, whether that's a full talk show or new content all throughout the work week. And then leave comments and questions there as well. That's where many questions come from that we hit on the show. So, all right, we're talking about the big tax law changes from Secure Act 2.0 that take effect in 2024. The biggie is the 529 to Roth transfer. The other one that was supposed to take effect in 2024 but delayed until 26 is the high wage earners required to have their catch-up contributions be Roth. All right, couple small ones. We're going to hit these more rapid fire because we were talking. Yeah, we're talkers. So starting in 2024, the catch-up contribution for IRAs and Roth IRAs is going to start being indexed for inflation. It never has been. And previously, it hasn't been. So you might think, okay, well, I know the contribution limit has gone up. Yep, it went from $6,000 to $6,500. Yeah, but that catch-up contribution's been $1,000, and it's been $1,000 since it was $500, and that's it for a long time. Well, they're going to start indexing this for inflation starting next year, and it will increase in 1 penny increments. No, I'm just kidding. $100. Pretty close though. It's almost that absurd.
May as well be.
$100 increments. So get ready. So Kevin, Josh, can you remember 401k contribution limits, IRA contribution limits? Yeah, pretty much. What about HSA contribution limits?
No.
No, I can't remember those. Yeah. Why? Because they change in $50 increments. Get ready. That's what we're going to see with IRA and Roth IRA. So again, I think the risk here isn't that, they're making it so tedious. No. You're going to have some leakage. You're going to have some seepage. And we've talked about this on a few shows before, where you're contributing to your Roth IRA. You can't do that out of pocket or out of your paycheck. You got to do it out of pocket. And so you'd start that on a monthly basis. Yeah, I'm contributing $500 into my Roth. Blah, blah, blah. I'm maxing it out. No. You're maxing out what the limit was a few years ago. Mm-hmm. You're not maxing it out now. There's more that you could be putting in this thing.
Yeah, it takes away a little bit of the benefit of putting your financial life on autopilot, right? Your contribution should be automated. It should be a decision that you make and then let it be carried out automatically, either by an automatic transfer from your bank to your Roth contribution or out of your paycheck into your retirement plan at work. Whatever it is, we love automation. We love the systematic approach to you hitting your goals. The problem is you're going to now have to recalibrate every single year. You're going to have to re-examine and say, all right, I was maxing out my contributions. Now what are the new limits going to be? And how do I continue to move higher with my contributions as I'm allowed to moving forward? But this one, it's kind of a strange rule. I don't understand why they did it this way with the catch-up contribution, but they're not indexing the just standard contribution, right?
So the other quick one, this is not going to be a big impact, but no more required minimum distribution on Roth 401ks. You'd think that shouldn't even be the case, one. And then if it was the case, you'd think, well, that's effective immediately. Nope. Effective 2024. Does not make sense. So if you're age 72 or older and are not working but have a Roth 401k, which is essentially no one, I'm assuming, then you have to take an RMD this year, but you won't need to next year. This is a non-issue because you likely should be transitioning at retirement, rolling your 401k over to an IRA, rolling the Roth side over to a Roth IRA. Should be a non-issue, but they did make that change. This is a glitch in the tax code that basically said 401ks have required minimum distribution. And when they started the Roth 401k, it got sucked up into that language. And so they've applied a fix there.
So don't miss that, though, because the fact that you can have money inside of a Roth IRA or now a Roth 401k and not be required to pull a minimal amount out at age 73 or someday age 75, that's a big deal. I mean, it's essentially a way for you to continue to shelter this money outside of the reach of the tax man, let it grow, not just tax deferred, but tax free even longer. So again, it's one of the reasons why, if you haven't looked closely in recent years at whether you should be contributing to a Roth or moving money from an IRA to a Roth that way, that's called a Roth conversion. If you haven't looked at that closely, keep re-examining it every single year.
That's a good segue here, because there's two more that I'm quickly going to mention here, and these are actually tax laws changes from the Secure Act 2.0 that took effect in 2023, but no one's been able to do them. You can't do them yet. They logistically haven't figured it out yet, and they'll probably start in 2024. And that is your employer contributions. You can now elect those to be Roth contributions instead of pre-tax. That was effective immediately, and it's as if Congress has no idea what actually happens in the real world, because to figure that out logistically was going to take at least a year. And yeah, no one's been able to do it yet, where you can say, okay, that company match, that employer match, thank you very much. It's always been pre-tax, whether you're contributing pre-tax or Roth. The match that you receive has always been pre-tax. It can now be Roth, but you really can't do it yet. Expect that change to happen in 2024. If that grinds your gears and you were really hoping to do that this year, nothing's stopping you from doing an in-plan Roth conversion right now, looking at your company match and just doing a conversion. The odds are, when they allow this company match to be Roth, there's not going to be extra withholdings on that money. So you're going to need to figure out a way to get taxes withheld, because now you're going to have that income showing up on your return. And then lastly, last one that was supposed to take effect in 2023, they haven't figured it out yet. It'll probably roll out in 2024 sometime, and that is the ability for your simple IRA to be a Roth or your SEP IRA to be a Roth. And can we just say
It's about time.
It hasn't come soon enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy. They should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah, and that isn't even mandatory. So
Right.
you could just have the basic bro,
Yeah.
traditional, simple IRA. This is the thing that I would add a couple of things here, Mike. There are tremendous benefits to small employers to starting a retirement plan right now, especially if you have under 100 employees. So I would look at those things. In 2025, if you start a new 401k, auto enrollment is going to be mandatory. So if you are in HR and you're saying, hey, I don't want to mess around with auto enrollment, I'd say get your plan started before 2025. There's a $500 tax credit if you add auto enrollment to your plan. So there's a lot of
So that feature, you can be grandfathered in if you get started early enough, you're saying?
Yeah, and I'm going to just say for now,
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're going to change it. I mean, we just started with a company, and they're doing auto enrollment at 6%. It's got to be somewhere. It can be 3 to 10%. And a lot of companies say, well, I don't want to dictate to my employees what they have to do. And the only thing you're really dictating with auto enrollment is you have to raise your hand and say no if you don't want to do it.
Yeah. They can still opt out. They're still in the driver's seat, but the default is going to be I'm automatically enrolling, I'm automatically contributing.
Right.
Unless I choose to pull the brake lever myself.
Right. But it is this slow death by 1,000 paper cuts that make the HR folks and the finance folks say, I don't want, we make widgets. I don't want to have a second business that is a retirement plan business.
I was thinking of that earlier because, Mike, you said that 90% of retirement plans have a Roth feature to them, but there's still 10% out there that don't.
I made that number up.
Oh.
No, I'm just
okay.
kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
That was
Yeah.
believable.
Yeah,
I was
no.
like, yeah, it seems like something you would do.
Yeah.
67% of statistics are made up.
Yeah, 90% of plans have a Roth feature, but 10% don't.
Right.
10% wake up, let's go.
Yeah, public service announcement. It's time. Every so often, you should be reviewing your retirement plan and what you're offering to your employees anyway. But there are new rules. There's new features. There's more flexibility than there's ever been, and you need to be taking advantage of it.
And every so often, your plan needs to be restated anyway to accommodate the newer things. But I would say if you're not benchmarking your plan, if you're not in a pooled employer plan, there's a lot.
Yep.
All right, so here's the deal. That the financial world, your financial plan is changing. The financial decisions or choices you have are changing as well. Are you prepared? And do you have the right process and operating system to explore these new options and determine which of them are great and you need to go after and which of them you should pass on? Work with your CFP. That's all the time we have for today. On behalf of Josh Gregory, Kevin Korhorn, all of us at KFG, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. The advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.